Welcome to part 2 of religious involvement in genocide. Remember, when we talk about genocide, we are talking about the premeditated, deliberate killing of a large number of people, group, or nation. Now, this is the deliberate killing aimed at destroying that particular nation or group. Now, in today's video, we will be looking into Africa's continent, South Sudan. Now, I want to first start off by reading an article that was written about the genocide that took place in South Sudan. Now, this is the heading: South Sudan became the place where God weeps. In the oil hub of Bantu rebels loyal to oist Vice President Riek Machar, an ethnic Nuer killed more than 200 civilians and wounded 400. People were slaughtered in mosques, hospitals, and the city's Catholic Church. The UN said hate speech was broadcasted on a local radio station, urging certain groups to leave the city and encouraging men to rape women. Now, people were slaughtered in places where they thought brought or should be bringing them peace and salvation. But this is where people were brought and slaughtered at. 2 to 3 million people lost their lives due to the fact that they did not want to convert into a religion that they did not understand. They understood the importance of staying true to their own African spirituality. The slaughtering of people was not just a slaughtering where people were taken into bushes and they were slaughtered. No. Family members were gathered in one room where they would take each family member and slaughter them in front of the others if they refused to accept this religion that they were introducing to them. Now, you as a living person need to think of the psychological trauma this does to one. Imagine having to watch your fellow family members being slaughtered in front of you because he or she does not want to accept a religion that comes with their colonizer. Imagine the type of damage this does to one's physical mind and spirit. But the 3 million people who lost their lives understood the importance of staying true to their spirituality. The slaughtering of the Sudanese was brutal because they were tortured for months, days, if not wanting to convert to this religion that was introduced to them. How is it possible that something that is supposed to be bringing about pure liberation to the African continent can bring about so much bloodshed? How is it possible that a religion that we are taught that is the true way or the foundation in which we should start aligning ourselves to connect with this biblical God is our way of life, but then it killed millions of people? Remember, we do not know how far our DNA goes, and this is very important because as Black people, we are the firstborns. So we do not know how far our lineage comes from. So it could happen that amongst those 3 million people who were slaughtered, a family member of mine or yours was part of that slaughtering. How are you as an African individual today standing for such a religion? A religion that did not see African human life as necessary. They did not value the life of Africans nor value the African spiritual ways of Africans. How are you as an African individual today standing for such a religion? A religion that practically tells you that as an African individual, you are useless. As an African individual, you are stupid. As an African individual, you are not worth loving. How are you as an African individual standing for a religion that brought about the slaughtering of 3 million people? Now, it is evident that religion did play a huge role in genocide. Religion was not brought to Africa to liberate the Africans. Religion was brought to Africa to destroy the African nation, or try to destroy the African nation. Religion played a huge role in genocide. And the longer we take to accept that, the much more longer it's gonna take for you as an African individual to start looking into who you are as an African spiritual individual. The longer it's going to take you to realize that this religion in which you are holding on to has nothing to do with your DNA, but the only thing that it brought to your DNA was trauma, and it brought about the slaughtering of 3 million lives. Religion played a huge role in genocide. Today we look at religion and we think that this is truly the way that this biblical creator wants us to live. You need to think about this. If we as African people were the first people to have been born on this planet, why would the creator not bring amongst us our own fellow black brother or sister to liberate us in terms of spirituality? Why then bring another nationality that will torture the African nation, kill and rape them if they reject this religious way? Today, African people do not sit and think about how much of an impact religion has brought into the African nation, and the impact is not good. I'm talking about negative impact, an impact that is that left about trauma in millions of people's lives today, because we still have descendants of the people who were involved in these genocides. How do you think that they are living with the trauma of knowing that this religion that is so worldwide accepted today was the reason for many of their family members being slaughtered in front of them? Now, I'm not talking about only elderlies. I'm talking about infants. They would take a mother's infant child and kill the infant in front of the mother. They would even rape that infant in front of the mother. Now, these are things that stay in one's mind for a long time. Now, religion today is looked upon as something that is here to bring about great light. But if it was supposed to bring about great light, why did it have to be introduced with so many bloodshed? Why did millions of people have to lose their lives as if they were not worth living, just because they did not want to accept this religious customs that was being introduced to them, brutally introduced to them? Today we have African people who stand with religion and say that this is the true way of connecting with their biblical God. They stand with this religion that took 2 to 3 million people's lives. People who knew and understood their African spirituality. This religion claimed the lives of children who practically still had a bright future. They claimed the lives of elderlies who still had great wisdom to pass on to their younger generation. How are you as an African today standing for a religion that was introduced to you as an African nation through bloodshed? How are you as an African person, or how are you as African people standing for a religion that demonizes anything and everything in which you are as an African individual? A religion that does not recognize you but sees you nothing more but an animal, for it treats you it treats you less than a human. How are you as an African individual standing for a religion that practically tried to eliminate the African nation? Genocide is a big deal. Genocide is something that should not be taken lightly, because millions of people lost their lives through genocide in the hands of religious people, in the hands of religion.